Hi, my name is Javier de la Torre, and welcome to the session about developing MongoDB applications over autonomous database dedicated. So you will be asking or wondering why we can and how we can develop MongoDB applications, and moreover, can we improve it? And the answer is yes, we can do it and we can improve it. And that's why, because when we talk about the Oracle database, we provide us a functionality, what we call the converged database. So when we talk about the converged database, we are talking about the capabilities of working and storing any kind of data type inside of the Oracle database, including the native JSON capabilities. So if you're wondering, you can work directly with JSON, directly against the Oracle database, and moreover, you can combine JSON with any kind of data type that is also stored inside of the Oracle database. As for example, you can use SQL to combine a JSON with a relational table to get insights that only with MongoDB is a bit complicated, right? So, but how do we work exactly against with MongoDB against the Oracle database? So for that, we are going to work against a MongoDB API. So you're going to get like an URL, the same as like the MongoDB. So, and if you have already a MongoDB application, basically you have to switch the URL and use directly the MongoDB URL to connect against the Oracle database. So it's going to be exactly the same. No? But moreover, you can access via SQL to the same documents that are stored inside of the Oracle database. You can run your business reports against JSON, or combining JSON with XML, or JSON with relational table, or for example, take advantage of all the security features that are provided in the database, and moreover, different capabilities, as for example, the search engine using, for example, indexes on top of the JSON data. So as I mentioned, we're going to use the MongoDB API. So the idea is that you can keep working with your drivers, your tools, your frameworks, and basically just take advantage of the Oracle database capabilities, more specifically about the autonomous database dedicated, in which you don't have to worry about administration, backup, patching, and so on. Basically, you get scalability, availability, performance, security, all these great capabilities out of the box, but just changing the URL. So use the same content framework code that you have and just get advantage of all the capabilities that the autonomous database dedicated can provide to you. So you can use your existing tools, for example, MongoDB Compass, as I was mentioning, because it's fully compatible, the URL. But if you want to use, for example, the Oracle database tools that we provide, it's going to be exactly the same. So you can see that from the graphical interface, it's basically the same. You can run some queries, you can insert, you can do some modifications. And as I was mentioning, also you can run SQL on top of the JSON, no? But how can you do that? The idea is that you can use the simple dot notation in which you can query the documents. For example, I have a document called movies, in which I have, for example, an ID, a title, a year, and I can query directly the data that is stored inside of the JSON document. But let's have a look into it live. So when we work against the autonomous database dedicated, so we have two main or three components, which is your MongoDB application. We have the autonomous database where we're going to store the document data from MongoDB. And also we have the ORDS. The ORDS is where the MongoDB API is configured and installed. So basically it's the one that is going to provide the URL to connect and also to translate the queries into SQL queries or native queries against the Oracle database. So let's have a look together. So what I have here, I have an autonomous database, which is over a dedicated infrastructure. In this case, I call my database JSONDB because I want to migrate data or use data which is stored in JSON data in format, and I want to run some queries using MongoDB on top of that. So as I was mentioning, so we have two components, the ORDS and the autonomous database. So the first thing that we're going to do is to start the ORDS component that I have already prepared, but I'm going to start it. And meanwhile it is starting, we are going to see that we are provided by the URL. Okay, in this case, it's the local host. Okay, but it also works with the public IP that is not hidden right now. But you can see that we can use this specific URL. No, so in this case, for example, let me open a new terminal because this is running. And for example, what I want to do is to use Mongosh, for example, to connect directly against the autonomous database, but using the MongoDB API. You can see that I have my user and password and the same URL that was provided before. So I can see that I'm able to see that even I have a database, which is called admin. And also I have already a few collections, okay, that I'm gonna show you how to insert one. But for example, even if I go to my tool, MongoDB Compass, I have already a connection, the same URL that I used before. And if I click connect, you're gonna see that we are able to see the same collection that I have already, some data that is already there, right? So, but let's assume that I want to do some insert over the data, right? So in this case, I have here a file, which is, for example, sensor data. So I have some sensor information. Okay, so I want to use about, for example, the wind, the speed, the direction, the sea temperature. So the idea of this demo is that I have some sensor data from a boat that is that I have in real time, and I'm gonna combine it with some existing relational data that I have regarding the boat, which is very important for me. So what I'm going to do is to use the Mongo import tool to import directly the data from the sensor directly using the URL that I provided here before. So basically, if you want to migrate data from MongoDB into an autonomous database dedicated, you can use the same tools as I'm showing as we had. No? So in this case, it's very, very small because it's for demo purposes, but you can see that I have 22 documents already there. But for example, let me connect back. Let's assume that I want to connect with Mongosh because I want to run a simple query. So for example, I want to know from the sensor data in which the current temperature is 22 degrees. So we can see that we have one document there. And even if I go to MongoDB Compass, for example, and I want to run a new query, for example, let me refresh. So we have the sensor data now there, and I can run again the same query. For example, if I do a find, we can see exactly the same result, although we are working against our autonomous database dedicated. So this is from a MongoDB API point of view, but what happens from a SQL point of view? So I can access directly using the SQL command line. Let me put the variables and the SQL. And for example, I have already some relational data that I want to mix with the sensor data. So I have a table, which is called point data, what contains a lot of rows. You can see that I have the platform and the provider, which is a boat that is providing information in real time, for example, about the longitude and longitude. But I want to combine it with the sensor data, no? Because I have more information there that is coming in real time. So for that purposes, I can use SQL to combine both. So for example, with a simple SQL join, I can join the relational table with the sensor data. And you can see here that we are using the dot notation to combine both of them. In this case, I'm just doing a limitation of 5 rows. And we can see that we have the relational info, but also the JSON format. You can see here that I have a document with the information about the temperature. So moreover, if I want to get all the information, for example, about the mean temperature, I can access directly to the mean temperature. And you can see I can access that specific element that is stored in the JSON document. But moreover, I can take advantage of the analytical SQL queries. And for example, if I want to do the average mean temperature in which I'm running for that specific provider, so we can say that as average, the minimum temperature is 18 degrees. So you have seen how easy it is to run SQL and to combine relational with JSON data, and also you can use the existing tool that you have there. And for example, if I want to, moreover, just to show you that I want to drop a collection from the sensor data, and I want to rerun the query that I have it here, set an error because the table doesn't exist anymore, or the JSON collection doesn't exist anymore, because I have already deleted from the compass. No, so you can see that it has very tight integrated. It's seamlessly integrated, but you can get all the benefit of the SQL and the joins, all the database capabilities. So thank you very much for watching.